Yo, what up, lifers? What up, lifers? What up, lifers? It's your boy Dave Life. This is your boy Dave Life. You're watching the After Dark podcast. This is the After Dark podcast, episode number 313. After Dark episode number 313. Diddy's split verdict. Whose fault is this? Diddy's split verdict. Whose fault is this? Yo, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're with us tonight, man. So I want to say thank you, and I appreciate that. Let's start this off like we always do, y'all, the right way. Dear Heavenly Father, have your way, Lord. I pray that you would speak to your people. Father, I pray that you would enlighten us, entertain us, and inform us, Lord. Forgive us of our sins that we've committed by both commission and omission. Charge it to our heads and not our hearts. We give you all the praise, glory, and honor in Jesus' name. Amen, amen, and amen. What up, man? What up, man? Hopefully my mic's nice. My mic sound nice. Check too. Hey man, you watching After Dark podcast. It's your boy Dave Life. If you want to support Dave Life After Dark and Dave Life TV, you can subscribe below. Subscribe below on YouTube. You can also hit us on Venmo at Dave Life or hit us on Cash App at $ Dave Life TV. And we appreciate all the support. Now, I got a few people that's gonna help me out tonight. I see my sister from another mister, man. She's in the building. This is the auntie of the show. Let's see how she feeling tonight. Come on to the stage, video lady Yvette. What's up, Yvette?
What's going on? It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. Welcome back. Welcome back. How you been?
Whew, busy, tired, busy, you know.
Yeah.
Busy.
I feel you. That's what's up. That's what's up. Tonight we're gonna get into this Diddy case. You been tracking it? No? All right, I'll put you up on what's happening. I see everybody joining in on YouTube. We got about 10 people on Twitter. We got a couple people on YouTube. We got some people on Instagram. Make sure, hey, if you're on the gram, you should come on over here to YouTube. It's a better experience. Go to youtube.com/DayLifeTV. Click on the live tab and you'll see us. I got somebody that's been on the show before. But I don't think she's been on the YouTube version. This is someone that's very classic, very demure, very mindful. Come on to the stage, Classic Athletic. What's up, young lady?
Nice to see you guys again.
Good seeing you. What's up, Classic? How you been? You been all right?
I've been good. Yeah, I've been watching everything. I have my opinions.
You got your opinions?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we got to get into it, man, because there's been a lot happening with the Diddy case. For those that don't know, Diddy has been they've given a verdict. So let me go back to this little picture right here. Y'all see that down at the bottom? Split verdict. Split verdict. We need a decision. So there has been a verdict. And Diddy himself, they've kind of been deliberating and they came up with a verdict. And, you know, he was accused of a couple of charges. He was accused of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion of Cassie. He was accused of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion of Jane Doe. And people have speculated who that is. He's been charged with transportation for the purpose of prostitution, meaning moving people across borders for prostitution of both Cassie and Jane Doe. And then, of course, he was charged with racketeering conspiracy, which is RICO. One count. All right. Does anybody know? I'm sure y'all have all heard, but anybody want to say what they remember the verdict was? Was he guilty, not guilty? How did it turn out?
I think he was guilty on 2 of the charges, which was prostitution and trafficking, right?
Yeah, so it ended up being 2 of the same charge. So he was found guilty on count 3 and on count 5. That was the transportation to engage in prostitution. Basically, hiring prostitutes, transporting them from one location to the next for the purpose of sex. He was found guilty of doing that with Cassie, which was count 3, and with Jane Doe, which is count 5. What he was not found guilty of was sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. That means that the jury thought that Diddy did not um, force or cajole, coerce, or somehow take advantage of Cassie and Jane Doe during all the freak offs. The jury pretty much thought that all those freak offs were consensual and they were not done against the women's will. And they also didn't find him guilty of RICO. So they didn't find that he was guilty of using his business enterprise to further any crimes. And
Mm.
if you remember, they were talking about arson. They were saying, hey, maybe he blew up Kid Cudi's car. So they were discussing arson, and they were saying, okay, maybe he did that. They were saying, I don't think the domestic violence was necessarily a predicate to RICO, but I think forcing someone into a sex act was a predicate charge for RICO. And yeah, according to the verdict, they just didn't think he was guilty of RICO. So
Mm.
my question is, let's start from the top. Yvette, do you agree?
I honestly just don't know. I mean, I do know that people in power sometimes can use their influence to, do things a little different than us commoners do. But
Hmm.
I also know that also people in power are always approached by others in different ways where they, what's the word I want to use? The others, meaning they lose themselves, if that's a good word for it. Where they'll do things that they normally wouldn't do, trying to get a quick bag, like,
Hmm.
I mean, I see it in football players and stuff like that, where the girls would, use basters, chicken basters, to get us, a football player's semen so they can, get impregnate themselves,
Hmm.
just crazy stuff like that. So I don't know, I don't know. I just think that some things just happen that way. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. Do you agree, Classic, with the verdict that he was not guilty of RICO, not guilty of trafficking, but guilty of prostitution?
Yes. I think he should be guilty of prostitution, if that's even a charge. I mean, I guess that's a charge. I don't. I mean, I guess he would get time served at this point. I don't think he should still be in jail.
Mm.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So, when everybody saw the verdict today, they were like, okay, so Diddy is not guilty on two charges. Well, I guess it was five charges. So he was not guilty on three charges, but he was guilty on two. And everybody's like, all right, is he going to get out today? So the Mann Act, which is the transportation for the purpose of prostitution, that sounds so crazy to me. Instead of just saying you solicited a prostitute or you got with a prostitute, they're saying you transported a person with the purpose of prostitution. So I guess that means some people say across states. Sometimes it could be from, I guess, location to location to location. But I saw someone online say, so basically, Diddy paid for the Ubers, and that's why we had this trial because he was paying for the Ubers for the freak offs. Um, because they never found him guilty of sex trafficking, meaning, which is different than prostitution. They never found him guilty of forcing a woman to have sex. Like basically, he not pimping. They're like, okay, he wasn't pimping. He just had girlfriends and they had freaky situations. And the women were like, I guess, agreeing to it. The crazy part is the Mann Act, which is transportation, has a maximum of 10 years, but there's no minimum. So they found him guilty of two charges that have a maximum of 10 years each. Now they could choose to put them back to back, right? Sequential, so he could get up to 20, or they could run them concurrently so he could just get up to 10. The sex trafficking charge, you guys, that's a minimum of 15 years. So they found him not guilty on those. So he's not a minimum of 15. And in the RICO, life mandatory. They did not find him guilty. They found R. Kelly guilty of RICO.
Oh,
Yeah, they found so like it's a little different. And then they were saying that the reason that Diddy's case was a little different is because R. Kelly's case involved minors, which of
right,
course
Makes
that's
sense.
against the law, it's
right.
statutory. But with Diddy, it's all adults, and adults are able to give consent, whether it's direct or indirect. And then what his defense lawyer said was, when did he traffic Cassie and Jane Doe? Because they have messages where Jane Doe set up, the freak offs, where Cassie set up the freak offs. They had messages where they were like, hey, I love you. You're the best thing I ever had, and I can't wait to have another freak off. So over 10 years, they have a lot of messages. So they basically, one of the defense lawyers, Mark Agnifilo, he said, okay, so they had 75 freak offs consensually. And then on one freak off, maybe one of the ladies wasn't in the mood. They were tired. They were like, I'm not really in the mood tonight. And then they did it anyway. They're like, is it trafficking now? It wasn't trafficking the 75 times when everybody was all good. And I was like, wow, I hate to kind of put it in those terms, but that was the argument. So do y'all feel like those ladies were forced? Or do y'all feel like, they weren't forced? I know it's real touchy, but just what do you think, Classic? Were they forced or maybe not?
Um, they definitely wasn't forced because we're actually physically seeing them out in public and after, being together. Usually women who are forced and they go through this, they're not outside with security guard and police officers and people that could help them and say, I'm forced when you see me with the person in public, several
Hmm.
times. It hurts my heart for the women who do deal with this and they got to see this on TV, that this is a joke. For the women to use that. We want to be able to call the police or call for help without people thinking that we're lying for money,
Hmm.
you know? Um, So no, they were not. They were not forced, obviously, because we see them. We saw them out around people all the time. So they're basically lying on the police and the FBI and the public and saying that nobody would help them if they are out at the Met Gala and whatever.
Yeah.
And everybody's a Diddy fan, which everybody's not a Diddy fan. That's
Right.
important for everybody to know. you
Yeah.
know.
So you think there was a little bit of like maybe Cassie was cool with the lifestyle until, I guess, until they had fallings out or something? Like,
We've seen it. I mean, there's no way you can keep it together mentally if you are being abused to that point. Money, it really doesn't matter. Your physical body, when you're taken advantage of so much, if you're being beaten, there's no way. I mean, that you could just go out there and keep doing the same thing. You're gonna. I've seen girls pass out from going
mm,
through stuff like that. If people are using you and stuff like that, she's good at whatever she did, and I hope that I heard reports that she tried to kill herself a couple times, and I just hope that she gets help and just leaves it alone.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
All right, I'm going to disagree with
the classic.
yeah, only because there's battered women syndrome that is an actual situation that a lot of women go through. Married people go through it. This just seems to be a bigger case because there's celebrity and there's more money involved with it. But there are women that go through this on a daily basis. Now, I'm not totally disagreeing with you that saying, Cassie wasn't a beginning, a willing participant, because at some point she probably was. But as things go on, and you're saying like being out, again, it's the same thing with a married woman where she goes home and get her butt kicked. For some reason, she can't leave or she can't get it. She has to figure a way out. I know this may not be Cassie's situation. I don't know Cassie's situation, so I'm not going to disagree and say something did not happen. I mean, we did see the tape where he did abuse her, and that was on that one case. That was the case where he finally got caught. But how many other times where she may have got smacked around, getting in and do what I told you to do? You know what I'm saying? That's the sign of, in a sense, of a pimp in his hose.
But that
That's
that's the,
what they
that's the
do. They beat them
disrespect
into
from the women.
submission.
The women we know that go through this, and no disrespect from what you said, they don't have. So most of them, they don't have a friend. And
Hmm.
from the heart, I'm telling you, they don't have a dollar. They don't have a police. They live in neighborhoods. They're not at the Met Gala where even if the police said something to them, that the police won't even look their way. They're in those situations. That's why they won't leave, because they really cannot get out. Or if they told someone, they really, really don't have anywhere to go. That's a big issue with domestic violence. So comparing that to someone that like Cassie, who has security, parents, friends, people, shelter, home, somewhere to go, and all these things like that, comparing to her to some of these domestic violence victims and rape victims, that's crazy.
Mhm.
Because that's one of the main reasons, is because they don't have any resources. When I say none, they have none. Some of them just got out of jail. Some of them dealing with prostitution, and their family don't want to talk to them anymore, or the people are shaming them. That's not what that's not Cassie with 3 million fans and money in the bank account, or even if she had no money, she has a roof over her head.
Mhm.
I mean,
I want to welcome Carrie to the stage. Carrie, thanks for joining, man. I appreciate you. What's up, Carrie?
Hey, thanks, Dave, and congratulations on the success of your show.
Oh, thank you, man. I know you said you can't really come on camera tonight. Normally, I'm like, no, you got to go on camera, but I'm gonna let you slide since you're a first timer, Carrie. um, we're asking, first of all, Carrie, do you want to say what you do or no?
Sure, I'm a trial lawyer, not criminal. I do complex business litigation.
Okay.
I follow the Diddy case as a not deeply, but just the news like everyone else.
Okay. All right. So the theme of tonight's show is, I've been going with whose fault is this? So typically it's lighter fare. We'll have like some memes. It'll be about relationships. Oh man, who's responsible, the husband or the wife? This one is a little more serious, right? Because we're dealing with the Diddy verdict, and we're asking whose fault or who's responsible. We just read the verdict. Let me show that again. We just read the verdict, and the verdict is showing us that Diddy was found not guilty on RICO on sex trafficking, but he was found guilty on transportation to engage in prostitution. So basically, he solicited and paid prostitutes, but he did not force anyone into sex, and he did not use his business as a criminal enterprise to further any crimes. You know what I found interesting, and Carrie, maybe you can speak on this. What I didn't understand was why the prosecution, y'all, took arson off the table as a predicate act. And it was maybe one other charge that they took off, like in the 11th hour, right? Right before they went to deliberate, they took off arson as a predicate act. And, he was accused or someone suggested that maybe he was behind the blowing up of Kid Cudi's car. Because when Cassie started dating Kid Cudi, apparently Diddy showed up the man's crib like a Marvel villain and was like, I just want to talk to you. And he had made a threat, you keep messing with Cassie, I'm gonna blow up your damn car. And then his car blows up, a few days later. So, Carrie, why would they take off like predicate acts for RICO? Why would they take off, arson and kidnapping when there were witnesses that suggested that he did these things?
Yeah, here's the key word. You said suggested. There was no proof, and there's a very high standard of proof in criminal cases.
Excuse me.
But
Go ahead.
so the short answer is they couldn't prove it, and that's why they took it out. If you're a prosecutor, you want to streamline it and focus on your strengths of your case, and you don't want to waste anyone's time.
Mm-hmm. So, well, let's talk about wasting time, right? This is a federal case, y'all. The feds win 90 to 95%, maybe 99% of their cases. They say when the feds bring a case, they got you. They have done so much research and have so much evidence, have so many witnesses. It's overpowering that you hardly can win a Fed case. And if you get convicted of a Fed case, you're doing 85% of the time. This is one of the rare times the Southern District of New York has lost. Like, even though they got Diddy on those two charges of transportation to perform prostitution, basically they're saying those are the two minorest of charges. The maximum for those are 10 years each, and he may get something less, which I'm gonna bring that up in a minute. But why would they bring such a case and then have to pull back predicate charges, say, oh, we didn't really prove that. A lot of people are saying that they were trying to just slap Diddy's hand for going against the liquor firm, right? That he went against the liquor firm and told them, hey, y'all, I feel like y'all are committing racial discrimination. And they're saying as soon as he went against Diageo, boom, all his dirt was thrown out there. The Cassie case, everything came out and the floodgates open. Some people are saying that Diddy was just going to get his hand slapped. And it's like, yo, we putting you in your place. We're not going to send you up the river forever, but we're going to put you in your place. Does anybody want to speak to why the feds would try to hit him with a RICO and all this other stuff if they didn't really have a case? Anybody want to talk on that?
They had the drugs. For some reason, they didn't focus on the drugs. They started focusing on the sex. And that's probably where they made their mistake, because it seemed in the beginning there was strong evidence of him distributing drugs at these parties. And for whatever reason, they didn't really focus in on that.
You know, the defense argued personal use, right? Because he had a drug mule, the guy Brendan, who some people are saying, Yvette, they're saying that Brendan was kind of a plant, because they're saying that Brendan had a state case, and that when he got involved with Diddy, he might have basically been pushed into it by the feds. Like, hey, look, you got this state case. You want time taken off of that, or you want that resolved? You gonna help us over here. So some people are saying, because they're like when Diddy got picked up, right? When Diddy got picked up at the hotel and everything, and they picked up Brendan. Brendan is the guy's name. He's a former basketball player, a white guy, a former collegiate basketball player. They picked him up at the airport with drugs on him.
I know, down here in Florida.
And they're saying, who in their right mind goes to an airport with drugs on their person? They're like, nobody. They're like, nobody. So they're like, he had to get picked up, so it wasn't clear that he was working with them in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Criminals aren't the smartest people in the world.
Who is it?
It sounds dumb, but I'm just saying criminals are dumb.
Oh,
criminals are dumb. Yeah. Sounds like shut up and dribble like a slap on the hand. All right, so let's get in. Let's play this one video, y'all. I have a video here.
There is.
All right, here we go. Yeah, check it out.
Divide, he said, between what the prosecution and defense attorneys have suggested for a sentence.
Hold on, I want to make sure y'all can hear that. Can y'all hear the sound?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're talking about the sentencing and what his exposure might be and what they might, what it might look like. So for those that don't know, Diddy, although the verdict came out today, no sentencing. So everybody was thinking, okay, the defense is arguing, hey man, he has no prior charges. This is simple soliciting prostitutes. He's done 10, 12 months. Let him out. That's what the defense is saying. Let this guy out. You should not have a federal case for what is essentially a state charge, a misdemeanor at that. So they're like, yo, he should not be in there. But of course, the prosecution's saying, hey man, this guy needs to stay in. He's violent and all of that. So let's look at what they're saying with the possible sentencing.
Note that there is a wide divide, he said, between what the prosecution and defense attorneys have suggested for a sentence. Can you break down to us what is his exposure looking like here, and what are some of the guidelines there?
Yeah, so one thing that is definitely definite in terms that both sides do agree is that the maximum sentence as to each count is 10 years and that it can run consecutive up to 20 years. However, there's something that's called the criminal sentencing guideline recommendation. And in those recommendations, in that guideline, it takes into account the transportation to engage in prostitution, the acts that took place, how many of them took place, how did it take place, and who was involved in those acts. And for each of those items that were taken into consideration, points are assigned to them. So depending on how many points are assigned to each of those acts, that would determine the range, the sentencing guideline range that Sean Combs could face. Look, in the end, the Department of Probation is going to do their independent calculation as to what the guidelines are, and the judge is going to take his cue from the Department of Probation. And ultimately, at the time of sentencing, there will be a hearing to determine what are those guidelines. And if there's any case where the guidelines make a difference, it's going to be this case, for the reason being that there's no mandatory minimum. And I am sure that Judge Subramanian is not going to look to go below the guidelines in handing out a sentence to Sean Combs, because this is not your typical transportation to engage in prostitution. Prime example, when the prosecution put up a picture of 27 men that were hired to engage in sexual acts with either Jade or Cassie, or sometimes with the both of them sharing the same men at different occasions.
Well, and Bernardo, one other thing that we're seeing from one of Diddy's attorneys.
All right. So the possible sentencing. Carrie, since you're an attorney, I'm gonna start with you. Why wouldn't they let him out today? I've heard that they're gonna hold him until October. Why wouldn't they let Diddy out if the charges are so minor?
I was very surprised. I briefly scanned the judge's order, and he was saying that because of the history of violence, that there would be a risk to the community if he was released soon. Didn't make any sense to me. If you remember, I think that Jeffrey Epstein, didn't his woman get bail or house arrest during her trial?
Oh, Ghislaine Maxwell. I thought her and Epstein were held. I thought. I could be wrong. Somebody maybe in the comments, somebody looked it up and let me know. But I thought Ghislaine Maxwell was held.
I take that back. You're probably right. But I was surprised. 2 counts of prostitution, picking up a prostitute and basically bringing them across state lines. That is the kind of thing you would never see in federal court. I thought he would be let out today when I saw that. So I'm surprised. They're not going to have sentencing until October, so he has to be held in that notoriously horrible prison for longer when he's just basically picking up hookers. That's what the charge is. I think it's crazy. And I want to follow up on something you said about the feds. It's not just the feds. This is the Southern District of New York. They have like a 99% conviction rate. The most elite attorneys work in that district. So those are defense attorneys. You'll probably see their show within 6 months. They'll probably have their own show on one of these networks, and they're going to be titans in the industry coming very soon.
Yeah, Agnifilo and the rest of them. One of the defense attorneys was Young Thug's defense attorney. I forget his name right now, but he impressed me on the Young Thug case because even though Thug got 14 years of probation, I mean, he was able to go home. He got time served, 14 years of probation, and he gets to go home. 14 years probation is hard to walk that line, but it's better than him doing 40 years, which is what he was facing. So I thought that was pretty incredible. All right, so let's go back to the theme, y'all. Whose fault is this? So Diddy gets a split verdict. I'm gonna start with Yvette, and I put a poll on Instagram, and I asked the lifers on Instagram. I said, "Whose fault is this?" So Diddy gets a split verdict. Can y'all hear me? Oh, sorry about that. Can y'all hear me? Okay, cool. All right, so there was a split verdict, and the poll says, all right, with the split decision, Diddy avoids RICO and sex trafficking convictions. Whose fault is this, Yvette? The jurors, Cassie and Jane Doe, the prosecutors, or the defense lawyers? Whose fault is it that he got a split decision and he didn't go to jail on RICO? Is it the jurors, Cassie and Daphne Joy, allegedly, the prosecutors, or Diddy's defense lawyers? Like, who's responsible for that split decision the most?
I'm gonna say the defense lawyers. Maybe they just didn't present their case. They didn't argue their case better.
Oh, you mean the prosecutors, that they didn't do a good job?
The prosecutor. Yeah, the prosecuting lawyers. Maybe they didn't, or just wasn't nothing. It wasn't that much there. So, so maybe they did the best that they can do. Actually, it's on right now, called The Verdict. It's on Channel 10, ABC right now.
Oh, wow.
I just turned it on. I want to hear what their babble is about.
Classic Athletic. Who's at fault for this split decision that he didn't get caught up in the RICO?
I think I heard that most of the jurors were men. So I think, and you're not dealing with all black men. It was different opinions from all types of men, and that's where the split decision laid. And thank God he got men on the juror.
So you know what? You're right. It was 8 men, 4 women. You're right. So out of 12 jurors, 75% were men. And juror number 5 or 6, the one that got released for lying about where he was staying, there was controversy about that juror. They basically said he was lying about where he was staying. He had a job in New York, so he was staying in New York with his girlfriend. Wait, no, I think he had a job in New York, like a temporary job. He was staying in New York, but his girlfriend back in Jersey, where he actually lives and resides, just had a baby. So he was leaving the jury pool and going all the way to Jersey, coming all the way back to New York when he had put on his forms, oh, I'm just going from New York to New York. So they were saying, we don't know if we can trust him because he was unclear about what was going on. So they removed juror number 5, and he was a black man, and he did get replaced by a white man. But to your point, classic athletic, it was still a man. So,
Yeah.
so maybe the men went easier on Diddy when it comes to, because I'm gonna tell y'all, look, y'all, the argument was that the women, that Cassie and Jane Doe, were not forced. And let me explain why they say that. They're saying that Diddy was in a relationship with Cassie for 11 years. And they're saying, and Carrie, jump in anytime, so make sure I get this right. They're saying that Diddy is still in a relationship with Jane Doe. He's still paying her rent. $10,000 while he's in jail. While the trial is ongoing, he's paying a witness's rent. $10,000 a month. And now they speculate that this is Daphne Joy, which is 50 Cent's baby mama. That's not confirmed, but everybody on the internet and that's been looking at it have strongly suggested, even the court sketches look like it could have been her silhouette. So what they're saying is that the child support she's getting from 50 ain't enough. She's dealing with Diddy. She got into a love contract with Diddy in a relationship, and that she knew exactly what she was doing and she wasn't a victim. So they're saying he couldn't traffic her because she knows what's going on, and he couldn't traffic Cassie because she not only planned it and all of those things, but they were involved for 11 years on and off, and all those texts, like after freak offs, after domestic violence, they confess in love, and I can't wait to see you, and I want to have another freak off, and I'm so horny. So they're saying all that stuff is saying I guess the jury took all of that as they can't be forced. They weren't forced. And it's sad because crimes probably were committed, but under the RICO, they're like, nah, that ain't a predicate act, and they're not forced.
Yeah, I actually some of the text messages that were read back were saying they were saying telling him, "Why don't you come over here?" or "I enjoyed what we had last time." And I think that's what was hard for the jurors to come up with those other charges, because the women sound like they're begging Diddy to come over and do this again.
And Classic, you were saying earlier, before we started the show, you were saying that you felt like some of the ladies probably were willing participants. You want to kind of explain that a little bit?
Not just willing. It was some of the messages that were read down were sounding like they were, like maybe Diddy was minding his business, or even before this started happening with the relationships, he was with Kim or with his kids, and they're texting him like, when are we gonna hook up? Like, when are we gonna do this? And I think that's when everybody kind of was swaying back and forth, like, okay, this is kind of sounding like Diddy was kind of minding his business sometime, or he didn't want to participate anymore, and the women are grabbing on him to carry on with this.
I definitely picked up on. It felt like sometimes they were pursuing him and his time as much as he was pursuing them and their bodies. It felt like at times, and again, listen, man, we're not victim shaming, right? I do feel like domestic violence occurred, and I do feel like trafficking occurred. I just feel like the jury didn't agree with the trafficking. You know what I'm saying? And when you have a case like this, Carrie, what is it called? The burden of proof is on the prosecution. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Oh, explain burden of proof to the audience. What does that mean that the burden is on the prosecution because the defense didn't call one witness, not one. So explain that to the people legally what it means by the burden of proof is on the prosecution.
Yeah. So without getting too boring, basically, if you are accused of a crime, you as a defendant, you don't have to do anything. The prosecution has, like, for example, the arson charge they dropped. They would have to prove that you not only did you burn the car down, that you intended to do it. That's and they'd have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt to the jury. The defendant, they can just sit there and they don't have to rebut the case. If they feel like you haven't proved the elements of the crime, they can just rest their case. If a car was burned, but they haven't proved that I intended to do it or that I was involved in it, then the defense can just rest because the prosecution hasn't met the burden of proof. Is that
yeah? No, that was pretty good. What got me is, man, it was something like 34 witnesses brought. It was 8 weeks. I mean, the prosecution went ham, and the defense said, "We're going to go over some evidence. We're going to highlight some points. No witnesses, Your Honor." They basically said, "Y'all ain't proved nothing." And they were right. They didn't prove RICO and they didn't prove sex trafficking. They were able to prove the transportation for prostitution. And what I've heard, you guys, is that the defense lawyers knew they probably weren't going to beat transportation for prostitution because when they argued, oh, no, we weren't hiring prostitutes. We were hiring models for their time. All right, and people were like, dude, you ain't hiring them for their time when you got baby oil and, that they're testifying that people have bodily fluids being wiped on each other and like that ain't time. So clearly, right. And then he got mad. Diddy was like one of the escorts. And the dude kept saying, his name was the Punisher. He kept saying, I'm not an escort. I'm not in that business. I'm a dancer. I strip. I'm not an escort. So, but when he couldn't perform because it was a weird situation, he couldn't get excited. Diddy was like, dude, couldn't even perform. Send me another stripper. But the strippers in the text messages, it was hinted that they were asked to do things. That's why they're like, oh no, they was performing sex acts. This is prostitution. I didn't think they were gonna get around that one. Did anybody think that they weren't gonna get them on the prostitution charge? I thought it was pretty clear.
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm surprised. If we're gonna do a case against Diddy, I mean, the jail's gonna be real full in a couple months. If this is this the new thing? You call some people, you're having a big party at your house. Everyone's
Right.
having sexy fun.
Right.
I've heard the worst. Even I mean, publicly, even Snoop Dogg have had some cases where the girls have went against him and said that he was being forceful and they had proof or whatever. But, to target Diddy on these minor claims is very surprising. There's some money being chased somewhere, definitely.
I saw one of the journalists, you guys, you make a good point, Classic. I saw one of the journalists, they were like, they were like, hey, listen, if every time, your wife's back hurt, right, and then she does something to please you because she wants to make you happy, they're like, if that's trafficking by force or fraud or coercion, they're like, every husband out here is damn near guilty of going to jail. Because how many times has your wife or your girlfriend been like, oh no, baby, I'm not really in the mood. You're like, oh, come on, babe. And then they give in and they give you some. They're like, that person could, if Diddy was found guilty, could turn around later and say, back in 10 years ago, that night, I wasn't in the mood and I did it for you. And now I feel like I was trafficked. They're like, yo, a lot of husbands could be in trouble if he's found guilty.
They've had some cases like that in the past because I was younger then. I used to hear cases where wives would say, my husband raped me. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Ain't you his wife? Like, how does that happen? But they showed where if, again, they were still trying to say no is no. If she said no and he wanted. I mean, but so those are, I've seen those cases before, and I never understood like how could you do that. And then in your point, Dave, like you were just saying, then I guess guys will not be flying chicks, across the line anymore when it's like, baby, I got you, I'll pay for your ticket, because now that's considered trafficking. Like,
Yeah,
what are we?
you fly somebody out. Yeah,
Yeah, I think our society in a whole, maybe the social media society, they're making it beyond difficult to have normal, loving, caring relationships, because nobody's gonna want to do things that come natural to them anymore if they think I can be brought up on a charge for trying to love my man or my woman. I'm trying to do something nice for her. I'm trying to surprise her, and I'm gonna take her on a surprise trip. We would just don't even pack a bag. I got you. Now there's a problem. You know what I'm saying? So what are we doing? I guess that's my question. What are we doing?
yeah, and that was the question with a lot of the journalists. I mean, look, first of all, hey, Sherrod, welcome to the stage. I see you in the building.
That's right.
Man, Sherrod, you got us on mute, so come off mute when you're ready. We're talking about the Diddy case. We're talking about the classic series question. Who's at fault? Who's at fault? So, Sherrod, I don't know if you saw it, but Diddy was not guilty of racketeering, not guilty of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, but he was guilty of transportation for the purpose of prostitution. So basically, he hired escorts. They had sex. He paid for them to get there. He paid for the sex. He's guilty of prostitution. What he's not guilty of is forcing the ladies, being Jane Doe and Cassie Ventura, through force, fraud, or coercion, to have sex. He wasn't guilty of that. So, thoughts, Sherrod? There's a split verdict, and we're asking everybody. I had a poll on Dave Live TV, and we asked. There's a split verdict in the Diddy case. He avoids RICO. He avoids sex trafficking, but he does get charged and found guilty of transportation to commit prostitution. Who's at fault? Who's at fault for this split decision? The jurors, Cassie and Jane Doe, the federal prosecutors, or Diddy's defense lawyers? Who's more at fault for him not getting RICO and it being a split verdict? The jurors, the ladies that accused him, Cassie and Jane Doe, the federal prosecutors, or the defense lawyers? Who's most guilty, Sherrod, in your mind?
That's a hard one.
Hold
It's
on.
a hard one. The question is, you should ask me who fucked up the case.
Wave at me when you're ready, Classic. Let me know when you're ready to jump back on. Wave at me.
That's when you need to ask me a more important question. Who fucked up the case?
Okay.
The
Who fucked
up the case?
Tell me about it. Speak on it.
Prosecution fucked up the case. First of all, they never should have got him on. He never should have been. RICO was out of the question, right? RICO is something that they go after when they're trying to get mobsters and gangsters. Now, if it was Puffy's dad running with Frank Lucas and them boys back in the day, that would be different. Okay, so he flew some niggas out to have sex. I mean, okay. I told y'all weeks ago that this nigga was getting off. And he gonna get time served, and he ain't going to jail no more. And he about to act a monkey. I'm not really that concerned about it because he did what every typical American does who has money. White, black, Puerto Rican, or Haitian in any shape or form. So the whole system in itself is to be blamed. Cassie, although she's a victim, although some things might have happened to her, she was also a pawn in the game as well. And at certain times, she was the queen in the game, which is the most pivotal and important piece. So you can't claim victim when something doesn't turn out the way you want it to turn out one time, but it turned out the way you anticipated it to be turned out 100 times before that.
They said that, Sherrod. They
Who
said
said
that. One of the journalists said, no, the defense lawyer said, if it's consensual sex and consensual freak off 75 times, and then one night they're not in the mood, but they do it anyway because
Negative, sir. You
they're like
cannot do
they're like,
that.
is it trafficking on the 76th time? And so I guess the jury, Yvette, was like, no, we're not calling it trafficking. If there is consent all those times and participation, then ain't nobody trafficked. And I do think a big part of it, y'all, is that they were in relationships. They weren't. It wasn't a one-off. This was his girlfriend. And in the case of Jane Doe, who we think might be Daphne Joy, in that case, it was he's still paying the rent to this day while he's in jail. He's paying $10,000 a month. So how it? Yeah, go ahead, Yvette.
No, because I'm keep looking because it said they got the show on. It's on Channel 10 now. Where it's called The Verdict. I already watched they had what is a documentary already that was going on Hulu or whatever. So I did watch one of those at one point. But right now here, the girl that's playing Cassie in the Verdict, it's called The Verdict. She was saying she felt trapped. That's what they're saying on May 29th, and they're showing like the dates. So they're going through the transcripts and doing reenactments. That's what they're doing on this.
So this is the thing. Right now. This is the thing, Matt. This is how I look at this situation. It's a bunch of rich people in an industry that's known for drugs, alcohol, and sex.
Facts.
And all of a sudden, you have one person who doesn't want to have sex that night, but has reaped the benefits of being in that environment throughout the course of her life. Not one night, 2 weeks, 1 month, her life. Now, I do believe that sexual trauma is real. It is not a fake thing, and I don't want to be I don't want to be insensitive to that. But when we start talking about sex trafficking, you can go to some parts of this world in Asia where you see sex in Asia, this world, the Europe, even the far USSR, and I'll just leave it like that really do sex trafficking at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like taking kids from their home, taking
kidnapping.
girls from their home, doing things with them they ain't found for years. They drugged up, they doped up. And I mean, it's a real pandemic, right? Georgia, especially Atlanta with all the corridors, is a major proponent of sex trafficking, statistically. So when they're trying to get Puffy because they're mad at him, or they're trying to show him, okay, I'm gonna put this boy in this place, I don't feel that we should really condemn them. Like I said, did Puffy give some people some ketamine and that shit should be used on a horse? Absolutely.
Right. Horse tranquilizer.
Should he have done some of the things? So what we're talking about is something that is illegal, or we're talking about unethical and moral dilemmas. Totally different. Totally different. So when we look at it in that context, like somebody told me the other day at the grocery store, told me, you keeping up with that Puffy stuff? I said, who is Puffy? I'm the only black dude in the whole store, and they're gonna ask my black ass. I said, I don't even know who Puffy is. Who is that?
Sherrod, I want to explore this topic, y'all. The idea that he was getting his hand slapped by the liquor company, because look, Diageo Liquor, one of the biggest distributors in the world. All right, Puffy had to deal with them. And for those that don't know, Puffy has Rock. And
I forgot the name of it.
I think it's Diageo. Oh,
yeah, okay, because I see it in that bottle at an event.
He had De Leon. He had Diageo was the owner. He had De Leon liquor. He had De Leon tequila, and he had Ciroc vodka. There you go. All right. So, Diddy, 50 Cent had effing vodka. Jay-Z had Armadale champagne, Ace of Spades champagne. All right. Now, Diddy found out that Diageo was not giving him the choice vineyards. They were not giving him the best grapes. They were not giving him even opportunities to get the best grapes. Oh, wow. And he's like, I took Ciroc from nothing to where it was over the course of 20 years. He was like, it is a premium liquor, especially in ethnic communities. And they went from shipping, my numbers may be off, but let's say they were shipping a case a year. They went to something like 40 cases a year. It was a 40x upgrade to how many cases they were shipping out. So if it was 1 million cases, it was 40 million. Diddy made an impact on their business. And he was like, why can't, number one, I get a chance to own Ciroc and own, or at least, have more than just like my licensing deal. Number one. Number two, y'all aren't giving me choice grapes and choice vineyards. So you're not giving me the best vodka because you're giving me scraps. And so he filed a lawsuit of racial discrimination, y'all. Diddy went against the hand that fed him and said, look, because that's bigger than clothing, that's bigger than music. Liquor is spirits, wine and spirits and liquor, that's all over the world. He went against them, and all of a sudden, Cassie drops her thing, Lil Rod. People saying Diddy committed all types of crimes and his sons did all types of stuff. Like, I'm not saying he didn't, but I'm also saying the timing of the charges and of the cases is so funny. When he was staying in his lane and he didn't want his own wine fields and he didn't want to challenge them, it's so funny that he didn't have these problems. Once he started challenging the hand that fed him, Sherrod, boom. And what I'm saying is the conspiracy theorists are like, they pulled back some predicate RICO charges, such as arson, such as kidnapping. They pulled some of that stuff back because they really wasn't trying to make him go up the river. They wanted him to humble himself. So they slapped his hand. They slapped his hand. It was like, hey, dog, you keep playing with us, you're going to get life. RICO, nigga. Now, if you get in your lane, then a lot of this can go away. Some people are saying that. So let me get the reaction to that. Y'all think this was backlash from Diageo and the powers that be? You think his hands got slapped? Classic.
There are no coincidences in life.
Okay, go ahead, Rod.
And every action has a reaction. So if you go against the system, no matter who you are, I had a high school teacher tell me this one time: you can't beat the system. It's been there too goddamn long. You can try it, but the powers that be, I mean, the people that really are the puppet masters behind the candelier, the powers that be that got real money. I'm talking about, like, I ain't talking about $1 million. Everybody in hell, Yvette just spent $1 million. The money she got from her little movie last week. That shit gone.
The movie release.
About human trafficking. The movie it's about, yeah, the movie is called Silent Chain, and it's about human trafficking.
You see what I'm saying? Some real life shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But people that got real money, like Floyd Mayweather said this to, I think he was on I forgot what show he was on. He said, I got the kind of money that can reach out and touch you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different conversation when a cat talking in the club is like, man, just meet me outside. He said, no, I'm not doing that. I got the kind of money that can reach out and touch you. Puffy got money. He got money. But the cats he dealing with, they got the kind of money to say, let me show you how it's done, young boy. Let me show you how, if you don't humble yourself, what we can do and willing to do. Because you got to remember, a lot of these wineries, they come from houses. So they come from generations and generations and generations.
Go ahead, Classic. I want to hear what you got to say.
I would like to say it's not just about what kind of money you have. Puffy was known for saying, I'm going to make it to the top of the ladder. And he had even said publicly before, I'm going to hire all these African American people, or I don't care if you went to Yale or Harvard. I'm changing the rap. Like, I'll take a person from the street if they know what they're doing. I don't think a lot of the, white corporate America was liking that type of behavior. And someone like a Jay-Z or something like that, they were not saying stuff like that in public. Like, oh, I'm going to hire a bunch of African Americans to work my back ends or to work my corporate office or hire them in the front office of my businesses. And that upsets people.
It
because
does.
Yeah.
they want
It
a
does.
piece of that, you know?
It
And
does.
that was the challenge, classic. That was the challenge to the Diddy case, right? Like morally, no one wants to see anyone harmed. We don't want to see anyone beaten or trafficked or domestic violence or raped. We don't want to see that. But then we got Diddy, who did come from a college, a black college, HBCU, work his way up, and through whatever means, he was able to get to billions. And he put on a lot of people. Now, I know he took money. I know he took advantage of people like the Locks and Mace and all of that. I'm not saying that Diddy wasn't shrewd. But what I'm saying is the American dream of going from a college student to a billionaire, he did that. So it's tough for us to see somebody that claims black excellence, if you believe his rhetoric, right? He claims black excellence. He hires black folks like Tyler Perry. It's
Oh, just
hard.
for I was thinking Tyler Perry because he said the same thing.
Come on in here, Yvette, because it's hard to look at someone who does so much for the black community and then their dirt comes out and it's potential criminality, and you're like, damn, I was
Right.
supporting this guy because
Right.
he was for us. Now you're like, I can't support him if he committing crimes.
That's not the cool.
You
That's
know,
not
and
true.
then Tyler Perry just said that he goes, he has made more black billionaires, millionaires than most. And that's the thing you got to look at when you want to take it to that place. Certain people build up their community, and it's by any means necessary at some point. They do it. Why can't we do it? But sometimes when they see us catching up, and you know who the theys are, they see us catching up. That's when you have to become an example. You're not. So what are you doing? Why are you trying to be on our level? Because you aren't supposed to be here. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And that's could possibly be one of the situations that just happened, because it does
But-
happen a lot.
But
When
with that being said, it's two sides to this coin, ladies and Dave. They're human.
right,
They're not perfect. You
That
know what
part.
we look at these people like? They're angels and they're saints and they're individuals who don't have blemishes. They got vices just like we got vices. The money, the power, the prestige, the magic trick per se, it don't go away when you get money. It gets worse.
well, you know
Because
why?
now you're
Fred?
able to indulge in all of your fantasies.
That's what I was just going to say. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
So
When you
Tyler Perry,
always said, you dare to dream, you dare to live.
right.
These
And-
people dreamed
Huh.
of being in a particular place in their life. So they dreamed to get there. They got there. Now, when you reach your dream and your goal, what you got to do? You got to make another dream and another goal, and you got to go for it. And when you got the means, now it's even easier to reach that goal, and surpass it.
Do I look at Tyler Perry any different? No. He's just a man who allegedly has done some things that are unsavory to the average person, but that might be normal to him. I'm not here to judge. I have two philosophies and they're going to contradict each other. How you do some things is how you do all things. If you're accustomed to picking up clothes on the floor, off the floor, when you get undressed in the morning, 9 times out of 10, you're going to put them in their proper place. If you're used to going to bed for an extended period of time, 14 to 30 days to form a habit and washing dishes out of the sink, chances are you're not going to have dishes in the sink. If Tyler Perry did the things that they are alleging he's done, that's not the first time he did
He did them. Yeah.
This is not new for him. This is just another chapter in his book. He just got money now to make it go away. Puffy been telling you about Sandro Pay 30, 40 years ago. So he's been a gigolo. He's been having a lot of women around him. He's been having parties on
and not for nothing, Diddy, not to get into his sexuality, but Diddy has been accused of suspect things for years. Right?
For years.
Now here's where it comes into play. It comes into play if you are drugging people and victimizing them. Right.
I have a huge problem with that.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're
I don't
drugging,
think so.
so let's talk about a classic. If Diddy, let's just say, I'm talking about rumors.
Right.
If people are saying, oh man, like Meek Mill said, y'all forgive me for what I did with Diddy. everybody like, what the hell he do with Diddy?
I
Right?
would
Everybody.
say what I have been around and I've seen with my own eyes.
Okay.
I mean, in the middle of the crowd and trying to move around and seeing how the security is trying to, the girls are almost ripping off their clothes, off they're ready to take the skin off their face
To
to
get
get
to
to
him.
these men. And even sometimes the men are like, hey, I gotta go, I gotta rest, or whatever like that. And then in this instances I'm talking about, this was at an R. Kelly show, and the security was trying to control the situation, but it was the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. And I almost got trampled because they were trying to get to eat just the cameraman or anybody. They were just
Mm-hmm.
ready to do whatever. And to think that somebody has to make a girl, you're telling me that these men have to drug the women to make them get freaky?
Yeah.
Have you
Well,
been at these parties and you see how these women will do anything? They will take it themselves. They're already drunk. They're already ready.
I
It's so
think I
bad. It's
heard
so bad out there. It's so
allegedly.
bad out there where they're like, dang, like I don't even
so
want that.
Classic. So check it out, Classic. Hear me out. I'm not disagreeing because I definitely living in Hollywood, going to the after parties,
Wait, what?
right?
What after parties?
Not no,
Well,
no.
I'm
remember they
telling
made
you.
a whole movement out of girls gone wild. Remember
Right.
that?
Those
Remember
They
girls
Wild
gone
wilder.
wild.
Girls
They
Gone
wilder
Wild?
than
Me and
what?
they listen.
What I would say they wild. I've seen some men be so decent and nice and say, please, can you get her up off the floor?
Yeah.
Or even actresses and everything like that say, hey, I just want to go home.
But I want to say this real quick, Classic, right? I agree with you. Number one, you're right. You'd be surprised. And Sherrod, you've seen it. Drop dead gorgeous women
Yes.
fawning, frothing at the mouth for some star. R. Kelly, Puff Daddy, whoever the guy is, right?
Shit, you can go to the ESPYs and see it.
Listen, I'm married, so I can't tell y'all all my horror stories. But I remember a time when somebody thought I was part of Twister's entourage. And I remember that person. That person was like, "Hey, baby." I was like, "Hi," and because I had on my Chicago Bulls hat, my gear, and I was near that entourage. They thought I was a part of it, and they were like, "Classic." They were like, "Look, we trying to get with anybody in Twister's crew.
Correct.
You can get it." And I was like,
Correct.
"What's happening? What's happening here?"
What are you doing?
Right? You know what I'm saying? And what I'm saying is, there's definitely beautiful women, gorgeous women that go after stars. There's also, y'all, people that target NBA players, try to get pregnant.
Absolutely.
Like what's the former porn star they got with oh boy, got with
From
the New Orleans
geez.
Hornets.
Yes.
I don't even know.
Pelicans?
No.
No, it ain't her. No, it's
Corinne
shoot.
Steffens.
That was back in the day, but it's a new chick. Well, she ain't new now, but basically she got with old boy from the Pelicans, and she's mad.
He came out of Duke. You talking about Zion Williams?
Zion
Williams.
Yeah, Zion Williams.
But he's young.
He's young and stupid.
But
hold on, I'm talking about, right, beautiful women that are trying to get to R. Kelly, that are trying to get to Diddy, that are trying to get to Snoop, that are trying to get to the biggest thing on the planet at that moment. Beautiful women. Then I'm talking about beautiful women that are actually not just I want to be a groupie, but I'm targeting you. I'm going to get pregnant. I'm gonna claim sexual assault. Whatever. I'm gonna get your ass caught up if you don't do what I tell you to do.
Robin Givens. Yeah, those
taking advantage of Mike Tyson.
But women are smarter than men.
Her and her mama.
See, men don't play the long game. We play the tactical game, the day to day. So you say, hey, keep drinking, we can have sex. Women like, no, you keep drinking. I need 18 years. Like, men ain't thinking like that. Men thinking about their dick and tonight. They're not thinking like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Women are strategic. They're smarter. But with Zion Williams, put it like this. I've been watching porn since I've been old enough to watch porn. I've been playing.
Listen, you ain't gotta admit that. You ain't gotta put that on the record.
You fucking weirdo. There's nothing wrong with watching porn.
No. Listen, man. People have watched it for years.
I've been watching porn since I've been old enough to watch porn. I
Knee high to a grasshopper.
So now what happens is I go to a major school, university. Everything is handed to me. I'm a phenom.
You talking about Zion Williamson, right?
Zion Williamson. Give me an example.
Yep.
You want a white girl? Here's a white girl to go. You want another one? You want 2 white girls? Here you go. Because see, you're bringing butts in the seats. You're a commodity. You're added value, right? I'm still watching porn, but I got all this access. Hold on. Now I got money. So the same porn star I've been watching since I've been old enough to watch porn, I can buy her now. Like I got the money to make her look at me. So that in itself is a diabolical thing to think about. Like you've been watching it this whole time. So really, the essence of media, not all media is bad, not all social is bad, but just to think that access to porn has been subliminally in his mind, feeding him like, if you look like that guy, you can get this.
You know what, though?
I believe in the Diddy situation. I feel like right now where he was in his life, he might have participated in all these crazy sex acts and did a lot of stuff, but it looked like what was starting to happen, he was changing up and he wanted away from these women. He was cutting ties financially and are getting ready to cut ties with a lot of people. And that's where, and you guys don't know how it feels, but I've been through it before, my ex-husband before. And when that money gets cut, when you driving off those new cars and that unlimited credit card or whatever, that's a big shift in a woman's life.
You know what happened? Classic. You know what happened, Classic? He started making them sign contracts. Now, Diddy always had NDAs. You can't talk about nothing. It's an NDA. 75 years after I die, then you can talk about my secrets. That's Diddy got them kind of locked tight. But with Cassie, you know, he had his predilection for freak offs. Cassie's beautiful. He getting Cassie to do what he want. But he did get violent. He did hit her. And this was a lot of times. Now,
but did he also move on? And
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
He wanted that 30 million.
You know, hear me out. So listen, you got a girlfriend. You trap her into an 11 album contract, and she's beautiful, but she's not Beyonce. She's not even J-Lo. Okay, she can't sell records like that, but she's beautiful. No, hear me out. I'm talking about.
And she was
talent.
young.
I'm talking about talent wise.
My point is, there's an age difference.
But I'm talking about she can't sell records. I'm saying you lock this woman into an 11 contract deal. That's more than Prince had. Well, Prince might have had a 15 album deal. But the point is, you can't sell records. And I'm not dissing Cassie, but I'm saying that she's not a standout talent like a Whitney Houston or a Beyonce. You know, someone that you give them a pen and they gone.
But Dave, I would say this. I'm not trying to be vulgar on here.
No,
but
it's after dark. You speak up. It's after dark. Go right ahead.
Fuck that shit. Be woke.
But to the man on the show, to the man on the show, I'm hearing a report that one of the prostitutes couldn't even come anymore because she was loose. So my question is to the man on the show.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Stop. Hold on, Classic. Hold on. Now, Classic, this after dark, we grown. We can say what we want. I ain't know you was gonna say she had no walls.
No, they have walls.
Now, you know, Sherrod, I've been reading the news. I never heard a report that Cassie had no walls. I never heard that.
I'm just trying to tell you the embarrassment of a woman at a certain point when the guy is like, I'm done, and then they going around saying your walls ain't nothing else there. That's hard to swallow.
Yeah.
I mean,
pause.
You ever heard that?
That's hard to swallow.
That's hard.
Maybe that's what she should have been doing if she had no walls. Sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
Because how can a guy, and the guys know, how can a guy go back if ain't nothing else to put in there? You got to put your whole head up in there now.
Yeah, but I'll say this. Let me say this. Let me just stop it, Sherrod. Damn.
Okay, no, but a woman's vajayjay is a muscle.
Come on, Yvette.
It's a muscle. It normally goes right back, and
you can do Kegels. You can do Kegels.
You can do the exercise to keep your stuff tight.
You probably haven't been around no super hoes. There's some hoes that be fucking.
Well, I don't hang out with hoes. So you might be right. I don't do hoes. I don't have hoes in my area code. No.
Yvette said I don't do hoes. Well, I'll say this: there's no amount of Kegels if you having, 72-hour freak offs twice a week.
Yeah. You're right.
You drug induced haze with copious amounts of baby oil and 5 or 6 niggas called the Punisher. Like, you're not coming back from that. You're absolutely right. One man can't handle what 7 men just did. Like, I can't compete. So but what I was saying earlier, y'all, is that Diddy had a girlfriend in Cassie. He did all these things, and let's say they were in love. Let's say it's toxic, and they were in love, and then he decides, hey, yo, I'm not putting myself out there. Cassie could destroy my whole life with the tapes and the allegations and the hitting her and the paying people off. Cassie could, so I'm not doing that. So what I'm gonna do, Classic, I'm gonna make this woman sign this love contract, Jane Doe, and in order for you to get this $10,000 a month, you're gonna have to participate in the freak offs that I prescribe and do what you told and stay in your lane. And it's literally a love contract. You're a hired sex worker.
I don't think he wanted any of it. I think they put him onto it, and it was a whole trip. He doesn't need it. I mean, if I explain to you, he does not need it. Girls will do that every day. I can call, hey, Diddy coming over. Bam, girls will magically appear and ready to get down.
But it might not be the girl that he
wants. I agree. I agree with you. I do agree with Classic.
Hey, sure.
Okay. You don't even need to be Diddy. Actually, look.
What would you say? What would you say? You say Diddy coming over? Say that one more time.
No. I can have green. I can have green eyes, blonde hair, big boobs, tight waist. Come over. Oh, dude down the street. He owned a liquor store, and he will come over.
It just
ain't even gotta be Diddy. It can be fake Diddy, and they will come over.
So I do agree with you on that point that chicks gonna find a way to get to the money. Anybody got money? I tell all my friends, I tell young men, I say, hey, chase the money. Women always find a way to that shit. They will beat a path to a successful man. You're absolutely right. It doesn't matter who the chick is. The problem with Diddy is this, and what we are seeing.
Destiny said holes in different area codes.
Because I was singing that.
But what we're seeing is it's the challenge for Diddy. It's the ability to do something that wouldn't normally be. That's the urge, right? That's the ego trip. When he's able to do this with certain men and certain women.
No,
seriously,
that's what I think. That's what the white man wants us to think, and whatever's going on, like Dave said, I think there's something going on the money side, on the business side, and they're good at getting black people, especially, to laugh at jokes about baby oil and laugh and say, a bunch of women, and they was making them have sex with all this men, and that's how it becomes popular. And now we're all talking about it, and we're not even looking at the evidence. But then the evidence come out, we all looking at, we laid it on the table. They read all this. They watched every video, and guess what? They came out.
But you gotta remember too now. You gotta remember too. Puffy is a repeat offender. This is not the first time. This ain't the second. This ain't the third.
But we made it bigger than what it is. It's really not big.
We didn't do anything. We didn't do it. Social media did it. And
but we are social media.
They did do this to take away from the Epstein stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
They did do this to take away. But do I think there's a bigger play here? Absolutely. I think it is. It does tie back to the liquor scene. I do. But do I believe Puffy did it?
Yes, he did. Now, let me say this, y'all.
Yeah.
Let me say this. Check this out, Sherrod. So if Puffy did these things, if he committed crimes, right. if he maybe he didn't commit a crime, but he did some really immoral stuff that was on the edge of crimes, right? If he did that, then Classic. This is my question, Yvette. This is my question. Carrie, you've been quiet. We got Carrie on here, who's a lawyer. This is my question, man. Some of us. Tyler Perry, if he did those things, Diddy, if he did those things, R. Kelly, if he did those things, we put ourselves in harm's way with having no dick discipline, lack of self-control, or classic, we didn't have so much regular sex that now we got to go find salacious,
Okay.
damn
Wait,
near legal sex.
so Hugh Hefner is not a person. Charlie Sheen is not a person because
Yes.
the only thing I see with them is they're white. And let me tell you, many people in the entertainment industry, we got the emails with the amount of money that it
Yeah.
says for us to go to the party and do X, Y, and Z. Right there in the email, it says this amount. Come to the party, show up. It's
Yeah.
prostitution. It was
No.
prostitution.
What
Yeah.
I'm saying is
But
they're all in the same boat. I'm not discrediting any of them. They're
Right.
all in the
but
same
Sherrod,
boat.
she makes a good point, Sherrod, that Hugh Hefner takes barely legal, just turned 18, come to my mansion and be my girlfriend. I'll put you in the magazine, right? Diddy, R. Kelly, well, R. Kelly was messing with minors, so you really can't talk about R. Kelly. So let's take him out of it.
Right.
But other people that were dealing with women that were 18 and up, they didn't get in trouble. But then, you get Diddy's and the others that get in trouble when the white man or someone else does it. Weinstein, right? Epstein, right? Clinton, getting topped off in the White House. People out here doing stuff suspect, but when we do it, we're punished in a worse way, and other people get grace. Do y'all agree with that? Let me ask the lawyer on the phone. Carrie, do you agree, Carrie,
David,
that black men get targeted, or no? We're justifiably getting in trouble because we're justifiably doing stupid stuff.
well, as far as black men getting treated differently, I want to show you some numbers. And the reason I was quiet, you'd asked a question about bail earlier, and I was researching it. Harvey Weinstein, he was charged with multiple counts of rape and assault. He got bail $5 million. Bernie Madoff stole an immense amount of money. He got bail $10 million. Ron Jeremy, he was accused of raping about 25 women. He got bail $6.6 million, but he couldn't pay. The lady Yvette mentioned Girls Gone Wild. The founder of that company, Joe Francis, he was charged with racketeering. He got released on bond. So those are just some type of people who are
And
different.
Diddy offered $50 million. He put his house up. He offered $50 million. The judge said, no, you're going to sit down. And now that he's been found not guilty of the 3 worst charges, but guilty of the 2 least, he's now offered $1 million. Let me get out. Let me get out of here. I done served almost 12 months. And they said, no, you're a danger. And so we're going to say that you don't need to leave. And I'm going to say this, y'all. Cassie, I'm going to try to find the clip, but Cassie and her lawyer put out a statement saying, we really want Diddy to stay in prison because he's a danger to society and us. He was accused of witness tampering. He was accused of hitting me and others. I don't want to see him out in public because he's a danger. And because of the video in 2016 when he's holding a towel and beating Cassie, because of that video and because of her statement, and there was another woman that released a statement. In fact, I think it was a gay hairdresser, a male, an assistant, right?
Yeah.
The judge took those statements into play and was like, you know what? We're gonna hold him. I think Diddy would have gotten out if he wasn't egregiously violent. If he didn't have domestic violence, they might have let him out.
If he didn't see that tape, he would have got out.
Yeah.
Hey, one more example.
That shit was damaging.
One more example. So what I forgot to mention. Do you remember Jared Fogle, the Subway spokesman?
Well,
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wasn't Jared accused of pedophilia?
He was.
Yeah, you're assaulting a 14-year-old, soliciting 12 minors, some as young as 13 years old.
Jesus.
13 years old for commercial sex. He got released home detention pending his sentencing.
See, now that's some bullshit.
But
Right.
You got pedophiles.
You never heard from Jared again either.
No, you didn't. I don't know what happened to Jared. I don't know if he alive, dead. I don't know where he at.
What you mean? He got taken out? No, he didn't get taken out.
But I wanted to bring up another point too. When you were saying what's the difference, it has always been a difference. It's a difference in how things are reported as well. When you look at all of these shootings, of these white kids going out shooting up schools and shooting up nightclubs and shooting up movie theaters and shooting up the malls. Then they do the background. It's always, oh, their parents were working, or oh, they were misunderstood, or oh, they were teased, and then they put up a picture when they looked like little innocent babies. Okay, now even though they were the shooters and a black child was the victim, they go back and look up stuff where they might be with their friends, but they got some weed in their hand, or they criminalize the victim. The victim is dead or has been brutalized, but now he gets to be the persecuted again,
right,
for a crime that was done to them.
and
So that's another problem too. It's how things are reported. So we're just all. I mean, look at this kid who shot up. I mean, I'm right down here by the Stoneman Douglas, and I'm like, how many black kids have been traumatized, have PTSD from their childhood, from their mom or dad being ripped away from them, or growing up in a foster system, or whatever the case may be. But this kid, that's exactly what they tried to say was his problem. Oh, he was a foster child, and he needed special care and need. I'm like, come on now, stop it. So now the excuse for him, but for us, there's no excuse. So we already know. We already know there's a double standard. I mean, like, come on, people, wake up. It's happening right in front of us right now.
So Yvette, let's talk about the double standard for a moment. All right, Diddy got money. Okay, Diddy has money. You see his mom and the kids celebrating. Man, I really felt, just on an aside note, I really felt bad for his daughters. I really did. Our sons, we don't want any of our kids to hear about our sexual deviance. You know what I'm saying? Or our sexual preferences, or what do you call them? Fetishes. We don't want our kids to know about our sex life. However, we damn sure don't want our daughters. Like our sons, I can say, all right, yo, your dad did this, your dad did that. Yeah, me and your mommy, we was freaks when we was younger. Cool. But I don't want my girls hearing that. You know what I'm saying? They got to hear that. And I'm really glad that the jury at least gave Diddy the benefit of the doubt that, hey, the prosecution didn't prove the case. I know Diddy's a bad man. He's a horrible man. His morals suck. I know he's got bad decisions. And I also know, like you said, Classic Athletic, women prey on him. So he could have got caught up. I understand all of that.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but I'm glad that the jury said, if the prosecution didn't prove the case, I don't care about the other domestic violence and the civil cases. I'm glad they stuck to what they were judging. Because if that jury got mad and said, man, F Diddy, he going to jail, then damn, it don't matter what the charges are. If they're sick of his shit, he going to jail. And some juries vote on how they feel about you as a person, not the charges in the case as presented. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that they were unbiased and they went with the case, because I do not think that the prosecution proved sex trafficking and RICO. They might have had some close calls with sex trafficking, but they didn't prove RICO. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Classic. You were gonna say something.
I just want to go over what Yvette was saying about how we report and what the African American women are like taking in. So quickly, I hear even the clip that Dave played of the reporting. The black woman is just going in on the way she saw the verdict results. She's just sounding like aggressive towards Diddy. A lot of the women quickly was believing, oh yeah, because it's sex, he did these women wrong. And I just wasn't quick to judgment. And sometimes we do need to protect black men and stop. Just because everybody comes up with these stories, we need to stop just jumping to conclusions and thinking this is exactly what it is. We need to listen more to it. Because when I saw the tape of the domestic violence, I'm like, that's horrible. He needs to get punished for it. But then when more came out, I just started to think how people are baited into situations.
Yeah.
And play with when people have money.
I'm gonna give you an example though, right? Certain things as a man you just got to be careful of. You know, right. If you touch a woman, you lay your hands on a woman, you're gonna get prosecuted. As a man and a woman, like these teachers out here messing with students, minors, yo, these teachers gotta know. I don't care if that student look grown. Leave that student the hell alone. You are an adult. They are a minor. You are going to go to jail for the rest of your life if you mess with a child. Like, I don't care. Ain't no excuses. So I think sometimes these people make excuses for themselves, right? And like, I don't want to victim shame, right? And I don't want to just believe the woman just because there's a lot of women out there that are shady, but I also don't want to not believe. Because there's some cases where these women are telling the truth, and it's like, yo, this is horrible. They need help because this man is a menace. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
tell the
saying?
truth. Tell the truth to the cops. Go to the police station. The social media is not the place to come over here and then asking for money and making a civil case first is not going to protect you. The police, the FBI, or wherever you need protection needs to come first, because I'm not going to believe you if you think you need to drive a Bentley first to the courthouse before you report your horrible situation.
And you know what else? I'm not gonna believe you when he's still paying your damn rent while y'all are on trial. I don't even, okay, you ain't trafficked, young lady. You're there by choice.
Who's paying the rent? Puffy still paying the rent on the young lady that
Puffy paying the
Jane
rent.
Doe?
No, Jane Doe. Now you know they say Jane Doe. They believe it's 50 Cent's baby mama, Daphne Joy. And so 50 going off. Yo, 50 having a field day. 50 calling her a little sex worker. Yo, this is it's crazy. My wife said, Destiny said, I think because people saw the video, they assumed he was capable of all that other stuff. And that's true. You can see the video and think, damn, he's violent. He probably trafficked and did all this other stuff. But if they couldn't prove it, unfortunately, then they couldn't RICO. I think they did overstep with RICO. I think they did overstep with RICO. You know what I'm saying? And now with R. Kelly, they did RICO, which was a lot, but R. Kelly was flagrant. R. Kelly had, you know, the first case, the witness went on vacation and disappeared. So the case was, the nigga was acquitted because the people didn't show up. Okay. So R. Kelly, you know, he got away with one. R. Kelly, just like OJ, should have sat his ass down, stopped talking to little girls, and found him a grown ass woman that's a freak.
No. He can't. He did. He had a wife.
He had a
was
wife.
in another whole part
You're
of
right.
the
He did.
house.
You're right.
He had the audacity to say, I don't know what was going on in room 1A, B, C, D, and F. It ain't no woman that's gonna be married to a man and a whole lot of shit going on in the house
and not know.
Blind eye to it.
Yeah.
Unless she's involved with it.
Sherrod.
Or she just wants her lifestyle, because I do know a chick up in the ATL right now who her man just kept her in the new latest Porsche or whatever car, and he would be like, oh, we just need to do this because I need her to do XYZ, blah, 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 in her ear. So, you know, you go upstairs and let me handle what I got to handle.
Right.
And she would do it because she wanted the lifestyle.
Now, it's not funny. It's not funny because R. Kelly was dealing with minors, like people that were younger than 18. But one of the funniest quotes that man made was, I don't know how to hog tie nobody.
Oh, and he was on Gail's show.
Yo, R. Kelly,
This is my life.
I don't know.
Acting on that show. I remember watching that clip. That was just some bad. He just crying and just looking ugly, not running.
I'm fighting for my fucking life.
And you know what?
Killing me, man.
He needs help, man, because he's sick.
No. R. Kelly needs help. Straight up,
he's a sick individual. But guess
he needs help.
Did he need help to a certain extent?
To an extent, yeah.
He needed help to a certain extent.
That's what I'm surprised about. I was surprised when I first saw some of the charges with the drugs. And you know, everybody, we got a cousin or an uncle.
They do drugs.
They always get out of jail because they claim drugs. So I thought he was going to use the defense. Hey, I was messed up on drugs. Because they always let you out of jail.
Guilt, though.
I need rehab.
I mean, he said that though, Sherrod, on the tape. He was like, "Yo, I was fucked up. I was low. Yeah. I was down bad."
It's an admission of guilt, though.
Wait a minute, was it on that video that I sent you?
What happened?
You God?
Huh? Say what?
Yo, Sherrod, you remember the meme video when Diddy called the Lord and the Lord answered? And Diddy was like, God, I need you. He was like, I can't help you. And Jesus kept hanging up on Diddy.
And Diddy kept calling.
Yo, I cried.
I don't succumb to a lot of that stuff on social media, so y'all gotta forgive me.
I'm about to find that. Nope, I gotta find that one. But y'all
No,
keep
but
talking.
he definitely need to detox. I think they were all on drugs, of course.
Yeah. And you know what's funny, y'all? In some court cases, being high is a defense. Not knowing what was going on is a defense. Yo, let me tell y'all something, man. Diddy is lucky that the jury didn't consider him supplying the women and the escorts with drugs. They're lucky they didn't consider that distribution because it was personal use because he used them as well, and it seems like they were part of the freak off moments. They lucky that he wasn't just handing them out to people like chiclets. And he didn't, you know what I'm saying? Because you start distributing, that is a predicate to RICO.
But guess what though? That's why he had other people doing it for him, Dave.
So he was smart. You saying he was smart?
Yeah, I mean niggas don't touch. Hey, the cat. Hey, listen, protect the bag, bro. The cat that got the money, he ain't about to be touching product. Ghost told you that.
Right. We know that. We know not to do that.
Come on, you don't ever get touched with the stuff. You don't ever have it on you. You never have it in your house. You never have it on your people that you with. It's always you know how it is, the trickle down effect. Like I'm up here, but everybody down there do the dirty work. I don't get my hands dirty.
Yeah.
You know how it's done.
All right, Yvette, you started this. I got it. Now listen, this is an old version of After Dark, Classic Athletic. This is an old version of the show. Hold on, let me.
I got about 5 more minutes and I gotta go. I got a little hoochie daddy coming over here.
Oh Lord. Okay. Okay, we're gonna leave that there.
Don't indulge. Just show the videos.
Yeah, don't indulge and enjoy your life. Hold on. Okay, wait. Is before I play the Diddy video, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this video of one of the what do you call it? What's his name? The Punisher. The Punisher was basically saying that Cassie and him, he thought that he and Cassie were in some sort of I guess relationship. You know, or he thought that he thought that him and Cassie had a thing going. Okay, let me play it. Where is he? There he is. All right, so check this out. He basically was saying, this is the Punisher. This is one of the strippers that became Diddy and Cassie's plaything.
Where do y'all get this shit from, man?
Hey man, that's what he called himself, the Punisher, Sherrod.
No, I'm off of him. I'm saying, where do y'all get this information from?
Look. He thought that he was special. Check it out.
She called me to come through, and I was in Six Flags, like some foul shit. I was with my girlfriend, right? So I'm with my girlfriend at Six Flags.
Oh, you know what, y'all? Hold on. I'm not about to let YouTube jack me up. That song in the background will get copywritten. He basically said that he was with his girl at Six Flags. Cassie called him up and was like, hey, you got time tonight? Come through for a freak off? And he was like, man, freak offs are 3 days. He's like, I just got to Six Flags with my girlfriend. And then, so he was like, I'm kind of busy. It's an inopportune time. And so she was like, okay, well, you got somebody else you can suggest? And he said, Sherrod, he got hurt in his heart. He felt, wait a minute, I'm your boo. I'm your special. I'm the one you call when you want to freak off. But me and you, Cassie, we got something going. And she felt really hoes get hurt. Classic. He felt upset that she didn't want him and could replace him. So he said, Sherrod, he told his girlfriend, he came up with some excuse. We got to go. Something going on. He left Six Flags with his girlfriend and went and got a 3-day freak off with Cassie. This is why he was like, she wasn't forced. She wanted the freak off. She asked me to come. I was a lover of hers. And he felt like the freak offs were not.
I believe she did. She's doing whatever she can to keep the rich man happy. She's got to keep this going and it's not really just all about sex. It's about entertainment. These guys like to be entertained. Everything gets old. They can get every sex partner they want. They can get the hottest girls, but they need some wild ass crazy shit. You got to start sucking some toes up in here.
Why he want man juice on his nipples though? Classic.
That's how it is. That's how it is. They have like little freaky niches that they get into because everything else is old.
I told my wife the other night, I said, coochie, I ain't never had so much coochie that I want a man. I've never gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, I'm sick of coochie. I need to try something different. Never in life.
But whatever the difference is, you can still do what you want. That's what I don't understand. If you want to go to a backdoor interest, she got that too.
It's not that I'm sick of coochie. It has nothing to do with that. It is something already innately in that person that has awoken because of
they got a fetish. Yeah, they got a thing.
It's a learned behavior, and it's someone who's been born that way. That's been scientifically proven.
I don't think so.
I'm just giving you facts. It ain't how you feel. It's what it is.
I see that there's men that I have dated and they had maybe just a little bit of money or whatever. And over time, some of them became millionaires or whatever. And then all of a sudden they want some Mexican girl's feet in their ear or on their nipple for some reason.
But did they switch to a man though?
Let me get on that. Look, I don't want nobody. I've gotten in trouble before on social media.
Don't say no names.
I ain't gonna say no names, but they've accidentally sent me texts with pictures of bathrooms and meeting places that was exactly for a man, and it wasn't for me. And I just said, and then they booty is too clean. They look like they got it waxed. It's smelling like Victoria's Secret.
How do you know it's too clean?
Oh Lord!
It's too clean. They doing something too because I looked at this man booty hole and I said, "Ain't nobody booty hole. You ain't got that booty hole shined up."
Classic.
The booty hole. The booty hole had.
How do you know?
Sharad,
I knew that booty was so good. Booty don't smell like that.
She was in a relationship. She was in a relationship. She was in love with her man, and then she realized he gets his butthole bleached. So.
No, that booty hole was looking too clean. No.
How do you know? Like, were you back there?
Oh Lord,
I was back there. It wasn't one hair. He had that ass waxed. It was freshly waxed.
Let her be back there, right?
And then
hold on, Carrie. What you say? Repeat, Carrie. He broke up, Carrie.
I thought I was muted, but I was surprised. I said she was inspecting a dude's booty hole.
I wasn't expecting it. I was out back there licking that booty hole.
Oh, you one up me.
Hey, listen, gentlemen, we listen and we don't judge.
No judgment here.
Leave Classic Athletic alone. Let her do what she do. She one step above a millennial. No, I'm tripping. No, let that lady have fun.
So at the end of the day,
hold on. Classic, you got to go. You said you had to leave.
I do have to go.
You got to go. All right.
Yeah.
Y'all, we've been on for an hour.
Play her video.
Do we have anything else in conclusion before we go? So let me do the round table. We're gonna call it an episode. Classic Athletic. Whose fault is the verdict? Diddy, Cassie, the jurors, the defense, the prosecutors. Why did that man get off? Basically.
I'll say this before I leave. The man didn't do anything, and thank God for the jurors in the courtroom. That's it.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Nice having me.
Classic Athletic. Thank you for joining.
Bye.
Appreciate you, Classic Athletic.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining. Yvette, whose fault was it? Whose fault was it?
Everybody that participated.
Okay.
There you go, Vet.
I like that. Carrie, whose fault was it that the verdict was split and Diddy did not get caught up in a RICO?
I agree with Athletic. I think it's not anyone's fault. I'm so impressed with the jury that they looked through the horrific videos and the distractions and focused on the evidence, and there was no grand criminal enterprise being run there. So I want to say whose fault. I guess you would technically say it's the prosecutor's
Come
fault.
on. That's what I'm saying. I'm blaming the prosecutors. They overreached. They went too damn far. They should have had him on a state case instead of a federal RICO. That's what they should have. They should have had him on domestic violence or a state case if they really wanted to get Diddy and put him behind bars. Now, I'm not saying that Diddy deserved being behind bars, but I do think if a man's car is blown up, I do think if there's domestic violence, I do think if people getting rent paid and there's copious amounts, I'm gonna say this about the Yvette. This is what I think with the baby oil. The baby oil and Dave Life's opinion. Right? You thought that I almost gave my whole government. The baby oil, Yvette, I think was laced with liquid cocaine, and I think that Diddy is a major drug distributor, but the government don't want to call that out because somebody want him to continue. That's what I think. I think you don't need all that baby oil. You don't need a baby's pool worth of baby oil to be lubricated for sex. That's insanity.
But I like being slippery.
Yeah, but you don't need a child's pool for
when wet.
Insanity.
When wet. Slippery when wet.
Slippery when wet. Astroglide.
No, slippery when vet. Slippery when vet.
Slippery when vet. I think that they just was distributing drugs and God knows what else they were doing. And Diddy said, while we at it, freak off. That's what I think. Hey, man,
I mean, for entertainment purposes only, I honestly just don't think, because I don't care about these people. I honestly don't want to be in anybody else's bedroom but mine and my man. So my thing is, let me do whatever I want to do in my bedroom, and y'all do what y'all want to do in y'all bedroom, and let's keep everybody just minding their own daggone business. But I understand for entertainment purposes only, people get, you do the speculations. For me, I'm just going on the record to say, for me, if Diddy did all these horrible things or all these great things, you know what I'm saying? Because we're so quick to always talk about the bad stuff, but let's talk about some good stuff. I mean, he did some good stuff. Did he not?
Did he not? I saw what you did there. Did he not? One thing I will say, Yvette, I don't want the government in people's bedrooms. So just because you freaky don't mean you should have a RICO. Now, if there's something else going on and the women are not consenting, that's a different story. But that might be federal, that might be state, not federal. I just don't think they should have overreached. That's all, in my opinion. If they wanted to get Diddy, which goes back to this, Yvette, maybe they really didn't want to get Diddy. Maybe they just wanted to slap his hand.
No.
They just didn't want to slap his hand and move on.
I keep trying to tell you, when I said this earlier, it's the prosecution's fault. They're reaching tied too much. There is a system. There is a magic trick that is going on that we're not privy to because we're not in those rooms and in those circles. This shit about money, bruh. This shit about money, power, and access. And in addition to that, if you go against the system, that you are a cog in the wheel, sir. You don't own the wheel. We're managing this bitch. And if you go against that, let us show you real quick what real power, real money, and real access looks like. Now, with that being said, did Puffy get caught in his own demise? Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Did he do things that probably the average man doesn't have access, money, and power to do? Yes. Did anyone get... I don't think anyone was forced against their will to do the things that he had them doing. I think they were participants in the grand scheme of everything being done because they wanted to be there.
I'm gonna say this, Sherrod. I think they were cool with it until they weren't.
That's how all freak offs are.
Yo, when Diddy showed up at somebody's house as a Marvel villain and was like, I just want to talk to you, Playboy.
It's just a problem, sir.
And then the car blow up. I said, nah, this nigga crazy. Hey, yo, we gonna call it a night, y'all. It's been a wonderful episode. Episode 313 of After Dark, man. I'll see y'all later. Thanks everybody for joining. I'll see y'all next week, man. We might even come back tomorrow, man. It's your boy Dave. Peace.